what is interesting, I'll go back into physics because I'm a nuclear physicist. Physics to me is my, maybe the first nature. I understand physics totally, and I can explain everything in the world of physics in what it goes in the world of reality of life. As I said on Tuesday, we have to understand positioning. We have to understand collective and singular cell, soul cell, and then collectively what it means in where we are. When I was a student in university, I raised a very big question to the professors. And this question has never been asked, and it was, in a way, showed the limitation of the knowledge. But you can translate the same knowledge into the soul of the man, which you will understand more and more. In the world of physics, we have a lot of ambiguities. And these ambiguities then is used in chemistry and in biology, and then when the multiple cells come together in life of a man, in intelligence, and then the soul of the man. There is something which is important for us to understand. Going back to the beginning of the teaching, we all said unified field theory. Everything comes from fields. And when the two fields interact, they create a plasma. When this plasma, two of them come together, they create physics. This is a field, this is the plasma. This is now tangibility. Two plasmas have to interact. We call this an atom. When an atom comes together, two of them, then we achieve what we call chemistry. This is physics. And then we have a number of atoms that the field interaction has to create a new dimension of positioning. We call it biology. And then in the further steps, as we go further to add more interaction of more fields, that they create a field of non-tangibles, direction and dimension, we create what we call the soul of the man, or the soul of the entity. But in all conditions, once this created, they all individually have their own field strength of their souls. Even though they still collectively give to be of their own entity, but collectively give to have a central operation that they can all operate. In the world of physics, we usually end up at this point, and this becomes a dead end. Up to now. Because now is an atom, it's a matter entity. All we done in all our teaching, we have gone back from this to this. So we have completed the cycle of life. Where we can take molecules, separate them, and put them back at plasma, and in plasma we create fields, which now we decide what this field is going to be in any point to show its manifestation. We have become a master of the game. Now we understand every cell has a soul, and collective cell create their own condition to be interactive, and when you achieve that, then comes the second group, which has its own soul again. And then we understand now this soul has to communicate with this soul, because they have to position collectively in respect to each other. Totality. I asked a single question from one of the leading nuclear physicists in the world at my childhood. at the university. And that was very simple, very logical to me. But apparently, through the whole physics world of him, into nightmare, and I was told later on, you ask questions which has never been asked and cannot be answered. The question was very simple. In the nuclear industry, we talk about this. Division of a neutron into a proton and an electron. So we make what is known as hydrogen atom. This guy sits there, and his twin brother or half brother sits here. But one thing is for fact true, that both brothers have the central field center of themselves, and they have their own soul. Because they have their own center which dictates their existence. But this theory stands correct up to here. My question has been, which I know the answer, but they could not answer me when we pass this point. Now we have many souls, and we have many little souls. These are the protons, and these are the electrons. We know each proton and electron has its own soul, but the intriguing question is, which proton belongs to this electron? Which one of the 5 came from here and is part of this structure? Is this proton the matching electron of this, or is this proton the matching electron of this? Because this has a direct link with this, the same as if it's this. But at the same time, we have to remember each one of these has its own soul. The protons collectively accommodate each other. But which one of the electrons is a twin sister of the proton? Which proton? Then I was told, this is a random matter. They all become something. And I said to my professors, the world of nuclear physics stops here, because he cannot answer me. You cannot force your lack of knowledge for me to accept to be the truth. Now, this raises a very special question. If you go back to the world of physics, there's an intriguing question. Very intriguing question. We call this, let's add one more, then we know what we are talking about. We make it 6 protons, 6 electrons. This is a carbon. With it, there are some 6 another creature we call, I call them backups. We call them neutrons, to space gap balance. But the intriguing question is, which one of these, which four of these protons has sacrificed its strength for the life of the others to survive? What does this mean? If you've done nuclear physics or you've done any physics, you know we have bands, what we call bands, where you have the center, the nucleus, which is collective number of electrons and protons, and then we have electrons, which are on the peripheries. And they travel, they rotate around themselves and around the nucleus, two stay in the first ring and the other four in the outer ring. But in the center, we still have those 6 protons. The intriguing question is one thing. This structure has a soul of itself, because all the fields collaborate with a field force in the center that they can find their position. So in an atom, in the center of the carbon, we have a principal field source that monitors, controls and shares everything. And then the point of interest in the world of science is, we say this proton, we call him a number 1. If number 1 is here, and let's say this is the electron of number 1. But what about number 4? This is number 4 electron. This is number 4 proton. Let's say we found the matching partners. But this brings the world of science into another dilemma. And that is, this guy with this guy, number 1s, they need to give up less energy, but need a bigger magnetical field force to keep the distance from the center, not to be swallowed in by the bigger. But this one with this one needs lesser energy, but bigger magnetical field to keep the separation to be outer. So if we look, the center nucleus, through its soul, has come to an agreement and arrangement that all these electrons keep in position. But there is a bigger but in the whole thing, is that now this guy in the outside ring needs to share energy with this guy, and energy with this guy, energy with this guy, energy with this guy, that they can all find their position and all be able to work towards keeping the whole structure of the atom together. Where when it was individual here as a single hydrogen, it didn't need that much, it was a direct connection. Now there are many more directions, many more connections. But at the same time, don't forget, this electron had a soul. So did this. So did the proton which shares with them. So the collective energy fields of all the protons with electrons. In this state of single, it manifested itself as one entity. Now is not one entity, but is a collective field of the entities. which in fact the central soul or the central field has a say in respect to all its movement. Here, as an atom, single hydrogen atom, it was easy. It manifested itself as a hydrogen. But here, as a collective structure with different field structure, it has manifested itself as part of the carbon. I hope you see the point. Is the wish the strength of the soul of the center, which has allowed this electron to manifest itself at this point? Where at this point, it's still an electron, but in a different strength dimension. This is the soul of the man, and in different point, it delivers itself as a physical manifestation of hydrogen or a carbon. Now you understand. If you could deeper understand the whole knowledge, is the soul of the man who decides where and how to manifest itself and position itself. Because this electron on the first ring has totally different capacity and the strength than the one on the second ring, and then go further. But the interesting thing is the field strength of the soul of the two, which dictates the position of the small one to show what is going to manifest itself as. The soul of the physicality, which the electron gives to the whole body of the atom, is connected to the soul of the center itself, which is the proton, which is a controller of the positioning. So the physicality has its own soul, but is connected through the strength to the soul of the totality, to the center. So this is our physicality, this is our wish. This is where we would like to be shown as a hydrogen or an atom that it manifests as a carbon. To have a jumper or not to have, or what it gives, to be collectively the others, to become that we are as one. So if you understood the whole understanding in the whole teaching, then you understand your wish, which is giving you the physicality, has the access and is part of connection to your soul. Because if this changes, this has to move in a condition that it becomes part of another. And it manifests itself as a carbon. Because it wants to give the other five a condition to live. Has two directions. You manifest yourself as what you want to be, where you want to be, even though you are the same, but at the same time, you're always connected to the essence of the creation of yourself. If you extend this knowledge to a further point to understand, becomes very, very simple. A proton needs an electron not only to confirm its existence, but to confirm it has a connection and it can decide through the length of the fields. There is no handshake, there is no physical. So is the sun and earth. Because through the confirmation of the rotation of the earth around the sun, we confirm the existence of the sun. But still the soul of the planet has a connection with the soul of the sun. So is the physicality of the man with the soul of the man. It cannot be any different. Even though every part of the soul of the man, in physical part, has its own soul. This is why in all the teachings I explained, every cell has a soul. Every cell has an emotion. Now we understand. My wish of the physical appearance is my command, because with a wish I'm in access, I have access, I can change the position of myself to become as part of the ring of a carbon, to manifest myself as a carbon that allows another entities of souls to have life, or I can be on my own. But in that field, I still interact with other souls, which they exist in the atom structure. Now you understand. Very simply, we can explain everything in the world of science to the work of the man. Then the soul of this atom gives pleasure to the soul of the others to create a molecule of whatever you want. Change the name to the sun, to the man, to the soul of the man, to the field, the strength of the center, in connection to manifest itself in another, that it creates the physicality. So that physical part has a soul connection with a soul of its own bigger entity, bigger field. So is the physical soul of the man in every cell, that collectively in the need, in comfort of the existence, transfers its knowledge to the soul of the man. That the soul of the man collectively in touches with the mother soul. That the mother soul receives, confirms, transfers it into the physicality, and you get the jumper. We all know this, but we never been educated. I solved this problem when I was 12, 13. And at the age of 20, a professor in University in Nuclear could not answer me. I thought, I know much more than you do. I'm wasting my time. This is what the reality of the creation is. This is how, for those who are physical and want to have a confirmation that there is a connection between my wish and my soul, is on the board. Now you understand. Now you understand how much you already know about the work of your soul, but you've never been educated. It's very much like I eat pancake every day, but I never knew how to make it. Now I know. I need a flour, I need egg and some milk and a lot of loving to mix it. I taste it, I had a bit of salt, I had a bit of this, to get it exactly to fit my emotion, which is the pleasure of eating it. Now you can eat, communicate, and joy, and be able to give that pleasure to the others, because you have found the path to communicate with your soul. My wish is my command. Now you understand. because I know access through my emotion, which is the elevation of the soul of the others, and my soul is the beacon of it. But a lot of people say, why doesn't it happen today? I wish for peace, but you have to understand the principle of accommodation, the principle to be ready to change, and being able to elevate the soul. As I said, many peace movement came in a lot of shouting, but they missed the main ingredient of the pancake. It's loving. It means giving to the pancake, to the rice, to the flour, to the milk, exactly what it needs to satisfy my soul. That it gives me a physical pleasure that I enjoy in what I have created. I enjoy creating peace, and it's my wish, and my pancake is ready to eat. This is what we have to understand, and there is no need for trusting yourself. Now you need to understand yourself. You need to understand the work of the soul of the man, which we always have access to, but we never knew this is the door to the supermarket of peace. On every shelf there is one product: enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Made exactly to taste for you the same as the others, which gives you all pleasures to be part of the peace. Because there on this shelf we only serve one thing. Same as the other shelf in the rest of the supermarket of human life. Peace, which means I receive what I need. Peace, which means I give. I don't care what I receive because I know I will have the pleasure of seeing somebody else elevating. This is why in the Constitution it says there shall be no imprisonment and no execution. To the man who wears the uniform of the police, this is unbelievable. It's a sweet dream. But the policeman forgot. We have reached his soul. It's him who's got to look for a job. And his job is to elevate the soul of the people he calls criminals. Educate them. They will not become. Teach not out of fear. Teach out of pleasure. The time of punishment and fear is over, because the soul of the man knows the reality. Because now we have found a way to it. And it takes time to change millions of years of habit. Unless we decide now, today, and then we still have to be in control of it and in charge of it, what we are doing, and the way we are doing it, and the reason we are doing it. We will manufacture, we'll build, we carry on living, because just because we have peace doesn't mean we can sit down and we can create a magnetic field, nor gans of the food we need. I don't need to do anything. I sit down here and I get fat on it. But the strange thing is, most of the people who use the gas materials as a food, they lose weight. Because they find out the body finds its own balance and they are very peaceful and they are happy people. So then comes, what am I going to do? I'm going to be in this planet for 100 years, 200 years. I can't sit and just watch. Man is interactive, sociable, and sociably strong character for being with others. But the problem is, when we send it to space, do we have to build a factory inside that you have something to do? Do we open a bakery that you need to be a baker on board, that you have something to do? Or what will be our job in this massive spaces we call spaceships that we are hoping to create, but in fact, the reactor of the spaceship is within us, within the soul of us, because we decided on which ring of this reactor we wanted to sit and be visible. Very close as a hydrogen, or part of a ring as a helium, or a little bit further with more fields going and coming, and which shows us as carbon, iron, lead, whatever you want. It's distancing which accommodates more fields of the others, that allows us to manifest ourselves. The more fields of the others become the cells of our lives, our physicality in the dimension of the space. You need 2 more electrons to become helium, you need 4 more to become carbon. The other one, it does the job of the kidney, where the one does the job of the liver, and the other one does the job of something else, and then there we go. You become a body the way you want to manifest yourself at the point of manifestation. Now we understand. At my young age, I tried to understand how much the man understands himself of the world of creation. And I understood one thing: we don't understand much because we never understood how things are created and were created. Now we do. Now we know how we can create, and we know by creating we can have whatever we like. Then you understand, even part of the new constitution becomes meaningless, because I don't rule no one, and because I have everything, nobody can rule me. Then there is no place for kingship. The more we understand, the more we can solve the problem, the riddles of life. And they tell me, why do you keep on teaching about the soul? There are enough ironmongers if you want to still carry on with the metal world. There are enough nanotechnologists nowadays. And now we have many Keshe Foundation plasma physicists. They understand more than the others. But at the end, the circle goes back to the fields, which goes back to essence of the plasma's condition, which creates and absorbs those fields at the same time, which leads to the creation, which you and I and all the created things in the universe are part of those fields interactions. Now you understand that your wish is part of the soul of your physical part, and you have always had access to the soul of the man, which is the soul of totality of your own creation. And the problem is solved. Let us wish. Let us go to the point that we all give, wish a gift to our soul from our physical soul, which is totality of the essence of the are, in very much, if I can explain for you to understand, is like the gravity and the inertia. Gravity comes from the center of the earth, and the inertia comes from the essence of the gravitational magnetic fields of the matters of the earth. But the two interact, and existence of one, which is transferred into physicality, confirms the boundary and existence of the planet. So is the body of the man and the gravity of the man. You call the soul of the man the gravity, you call the soul of the physical part of the man the inertia. The planet has both, and the totality interaction of between them both gives the physical dimension of this planet. so is the man. And in totality, the wish of the inertia confirms the existence and the position of the planet in the solar system. Now you understand, you're all plasma physicists and you all become master of the soul. And now you understand the connection and